There's a specific moment a lot of retirees describe in almost identical language. You're scrolling through your phone, not for any real reason, just the habit of it. And somewhere in that contact list, it lands. You've talked to most of these people, almost not at all, in months, maybe longer. No argument, no falling out, no obvious moment things went sideways. They just drifted. And so quietly did you. So today we're going to cover the 4 specific ways to build real friendships in retirement. And none of them, hint, none of them involve joining a club. Although that is a legitimate way. But let's dig a little deeper. Good morning.
Morning.
Tip number 1, become a regular. Here's the one with the lowest barrier to entry and the highest return. Pick one place, show up on the same schedule, become a regular. Think Norm on Cheers. Not a club, not an organized program, not anything that requires an application or a Tuesday night commitment. Just a spot, a coffee shop 2 minutes from your house, the farmer's market on a Thursday morning, the hardware store on Saturdays, the diner where they just started recognizing your face. Here's why this actually works. We tend to think friendships form because of a great first conversation, because someone is warm and interesting and charming. But decades of social research point somewhere else entirely. Friendships form, good morning. Friendships form because of 3 specific ingredients: proximity, repeated exposure, and purpose. Your job had all 3 of those automatically, simultaneously every week for 40 years. You didn't think about it. It just ran quietly in the background, like a system you didn't know you were depending on. Retirement removes all 3 instantly at the same time. That's not a character flaw. That's a structural failure. And becoming a regular is the simplest possible way to start rebuilding a proximity and repetition without any social effort at all. Here's how it plays out. You show up Tuesday, nobody knows you. You're just another face. You show up Thursday, one person maybe starts to register. 3 weeks in, someone uses your name without being reminded. 6 weeks in, someone's already saving you your usual spot. The friendship hasn't technically started yet, but the soil, the actual precondition of friendship, is completely prepared. The other underrated bonus, there's no homework, no name tags, no corny icebreakers where someone asks you to describe yourself in 3 words. The entire job description is just show up. That's it. Tip number 2, the soft asks. Here's the move most people get exactly wrong once a connection starts to feel real. They say, we should get together sometime. And they mean it. The other person actually means it as well. And it never happens. Good morning. I call this the soft ask. And it is a quiet friendship death sentence. Not because anyone is being dishonest. It's because that sentence requires both people to generate future initiative with no structure, no time, and no natural prompt. And for most adults, especially adults who aren't used to building friendships from scratch since they were kids, that threshold is just high enough that it never gets cleared. The fix is a single specific change. A warm ask has 3 parts: one person, one thing, one time. So it's not, let's grab coffee, but instead, hey, I'm trying this new place on Maple Street, Thursday at 9. Want to come? Not, we should stay in touch. Better yet, try this one. I'm heading to the farmer's market Saturday morning. You want to walk over with me? That specificity removes the friction entirely. The other person just answers yes or no. No future coordination required. And the yes rate is a lot higher than you'd think because they've probably been waiting for exactly this moment. Someone willing to make the specific ask. So you're not being forward. You're being the answer to a question they've been quietly asking themselves. Let me stop here because I love trail metaphors. And I think this one really applies here because this is the place where most people quietly give up. You've become a regular somewhere. You've made a warm ask or 2 and it still feels like not much is happening. Like you're doing things and things aren't working. So here's a different way. To read that feeling. If you've ever hiked a serious climb, like straight up the side of a mountain, you know what a switchback is. The trail turns sideways across the mountain face instead of going straight up. And watching from below, it looks wrong, right? The hiker that you're watching is moving sideways, not gaining elevation. Nothing appears to be happening, actually, but what they're actually doing is they're climbing in real time. The switchback is the progress. It's just invisible until you look back when you're doing it from well above where you started. Building a friendship in retirement works exactly the same way. 3 visits feels like nothing. 7 feels like nothing obvious. And then on visit 11 or 12, someone asks you your name, invites you to sit, mentions something you said 2 weeks ago that you'd been thinking about, or that they'd been thinking about. That's not the beginning, that's the summit. You were climbing the whole time. The trail just didn't look like a trail yet. Okay, tip number 3, work alongside strangers. Work alongside strangers. Here's the one that surprises people the most. One of the fastest ways to build genuine trust with someone you don't know yet is to work alongside them towards a specific shared task. Not a social event, but an actual task, a community garden plot, a neighborhood mural project, trail restoration day at your county park, a local fundraiser that needs extra hands, community theater, even if you've never been near a stage and you're purely building sets in the back. Here's why this works when traditional social events often don't. A social event puts the spotlight directly on you, on the conversation, on being interesting, warm, socially smooth. For someone re-entering social spaces after years of workplace structure, that spotlight genuinely feels way too bright. A shared task removes it completely. You're both focused on the same thing, working towards the same goal, hands busy, the conversation fills gaps naturally, without pressure, without performance, without anyone being expected to carry it. There's something genuinely liberating about a task that makes small talk structurally optional. Nobody launches into, "So what do you do?" when they're both elbow deep in a garden bed. You're already doing something together. That's enough. The retirees I speak with who describe their best post-retirement friendships almost never say, "We met at a social event. We were on the same committee," is what they say. Or, "We were both volunteering." The task was the excuse. The side-by-side work was the mechanism. All right, tip number 4. Can you guess it? All right, wait, I'm gonna give you a second. All right, here it is. Start the thing yourself. Did you guess that one? All right, it's the last one and the most underused one. Stop waiting for the right group to find you. Start the thing yourself. Not a formal club where you've got to have a website and a committee with a mission statement and a logo. No, you don't need that much effort. Just one small, low-stakes repeating thing. A monthly dinner at your house, a weekly walk with one person you've been meaning to reconnect with, a Saturday morning coffee with 4 people who all mentioned they were newly retired. Here's what I notice every time someone actually does this. They spend weeks convinced it's too presumptuous, too forward, like they'd be announcing something that wasn't theirs to announce. And then, guess what? They get the guts up and they do it anyway. And people show up because everyone was waiting for exactly this, waiting for someone to start something, someone willing to say, "Be there, Thursday, my place, 6 p.m., come if you can." Or Saturday morning, the Metro Park, 10 a.m., we're going on a hike, hope you can join us. When you become the organizer, even in the smallest, most informal way, something shifts. You stop waiting for a community to find you, and you become the reason that community exists. And it's an incredible feeling. There you are, the 4 tips to make real friends in your next chapter. And as promised, none of them involved joining a club. Become a regular somewhere. Make the warm ask, specific, one person, one time. Work alongside strangers with something real. And when you're tired of waiting, start the thing yourself. And here's the bigger truth beneath all of this. For most of your adult life, your social world was largely assembled for you. You didn't select the people, proximity selected them. You didn't choose the schedule, the job chose it. You didn't decide who ended up across the table from you for 20 years. The system handed you a social world, and it was real. Those friendships mattered. Many of them still do. But you are now standing at a trailhead that you haven't been to before. No path laid out ahead of you. No blazes on the trees. The map you carried for 40 years doesn't match the terrain. And that is not a problem. That is an open trail. The friendships you build here, deliberately, on your terms, with people you actually choose, tend to go deeper than the ones that simply happen to you by circumstance. Because this time, there's no system doing the work. There's just you showing up, making that specific ask, standing elbow deep in a garden bed next to someone you didn't know 3 weeks ago. Although I'll admit, it would be nice if retirement had come with a company email and a shared calendar. The old system had genuinely impressive logistics, right? We all know that. But that's not making the best of a hard situation. That's building something better. The trail ahead isn't marked. The path isn't worn yet. But every time you show up to that same spot with the same consistency, willing to make that specific ask, you're wearing the trail in, one footfall at a time. I'll see you on that trail. Good luck to you. We'll talk soon. Take care.